Good morning, guys, and welcome to the Monday Movie Memo here on Cinema Blend, where we look forward to the week ahead and we look back often to things that happened over the weekend and come up with interesting topics of conversation that we want to talk about and that you guys want to hear about and that we can talk about together as part of this interactive conversation that we like to have here on the site. And I didn't plan this, but today's conversation is going to be about Johnny Depp, whose movie Transcendence came out over the weekend and didn't do very well. And you're going to read a lot of columns today on other sites about whether or not Johnny Depp is still a movie star. And I think that that's an interesting conversation, but I wanted to sort of go back and go over numbers that might talk about whether or not he's still a box office draw or someone who you guys are interested in seeing on screen. And the numbers were shocking, because I knew he was kind of in a rut to the point where his project choices dating back to even The Tourist, which was like a flat-out bomb and I think caught everybody by surprise, his project choices were suspect. And so I wanted to go back over his last few numbers to see how people are responding to Johnny Depp as an actor and a movie star. More than anything else, I think, as a movie star, but it's starting to be a troubling trend that he's not even really connecting with critics, and critics were the ones who kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt and went with the really weird choices that he would make with his different roles. But if you're a critic, you haven't liked the Johnny Depp movie in years upon years. I'm going to go back to The Tourist and I'm going to go through his Rotten Tomatoes scores. And I know that Rotten Tomatoes isn't the be-all and end-all, but it's a pretty good capture of how a film is performing and how it's connecting to an audience. The Tourist, 20% fresh. The latest Pirates of the Caribbean, 33% fresh. The Rum Diary, 50% fresh. That's the highest grade he's had in years. Dark Shadows, 38%. The Lone Ranger, 30%. And then Transcendence is currently sitting at 20%. So the highest grade he's had in the past few years is 50% for an offbeat film like The Rum Diary, which nobody really saw. And so, okay, so critically, he isn't doing very well. But box office wise, I mean, is he still a movie star? Is Johnny Depp, when Johnny Depp puts a movie out in the theaters, is it something that you feel like you have to go see opening weekend? Was it ever the case? I mean, obviously his Captain Jack Sparrow character and the Pirates franchise has been one that has kept him a global sensation for years. And if he continues to do it, it might still carry him. Because when you look back at his box office, the highest number that he has posted domestically is $241 million for the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But even when you look at those numbers, that movie opened at #1 over the course of a summer weekend, but then was quickly buried by a Hangover sequel, and it just didn't have any legs. It opened big and then it completely sank. So, you know, he opened Transcendence this past weekend to 11.1 million. Not good. Like, not good for #1. I think it landed at #3 or #4. This is something that this shocked me. The Lone Ranger was a July 4th opening weekend, and it got destroyed by Despicable Me 2. Despicable Me 2 just buried it. And so The Lone Ranger went on to earn $89 million domestically. It's a summer blockbuster. It didn't even cross $100 million at the box office. Dark Shadows, a May opener, $79.7 million at the U.S. box office. It opened at 29. It opened at #2. Now it opened #2 behind The Avengers, and I don't care how big of a star Johnny Depp thinks he is. He's not going to beat The Avengers. I understand that. Pirates of the Caribbean, we talked about, $241 million, and The Tourist ended up at $67 million domestically. Now, I think what this says is that America hates Johnny Depp. American audiences hate Johnny Depp. He is just not the draw in his native country. I mean, he's born in Kentucky. He's not the draw here in the U.S. that he was anymore. But the reason that studios continue to bank on Johnny Depp, I mean, A, he's a talented actor, but B, he's a global draw. The Lone Ranger, it did $89 million here in the States, but it did do $260 million overall globally. Dark Shadows, $79 million here in the States, but it did do $245 million globally. So if you invest in Johnny Depp, you know that you're going to be able to sell him to a global audience. Case in point, Transcendence opened to $11 million here in the States, but it's already made $17 million overseas. So there's a very good chance that the movie, based on the fact that Johnny Depp is in it, is going to connect in audiences like China. It's going to earn some money. It's not going to be a bloodbath for him. But I do think the numbers sort of state financially and critically, Johnny Depp is not a star in the United States anymore. U.S. audiences don't seem to gravitate towards his pictures unless he's wearing the Jack Sparrow costume. And even at that, the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean movie showed such a significant drop from the previous films before it that I just don't think his star is nearly as bright as it once was when he and Tim Burton were working in their prime, and when he was making bold choices with movies like Donnie Brasco or Blow, you know, movies that really connected with him in harrowing, dramatic performances, and it didn't require him to bury himself in whiteface makeup and, you know, eccentric character choices. I don't see him reversing this trend. He's going back to play the Mad Hatter. He's circling doing a 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I don't know what the career resurgence can be for Johnny Depp, and obviously he can be working for, you know, several decades. But right now, he's in a slump, and the numbers prove that American audiences don't care what he's putting out, and studios bank on him pulling a global audience. So, you know, Transcendence didn't open, it couldn't beat Captain America in its 3rd weekend, and that sort of raised a lot of flags for us. So tell us, is Johnny Depp still a star in your eyes? Is he a box office draw? Is he, I mean, he's a celebrity, without a doubt, but is he a movie star? Is he an actor that you want to see in a picture? Because people didn't show up for The Tourist. They didn't show up for Dark Shadows. They didn't really give Lone Ranger a chance, and they certainly didn't show up for Transcendence. So the trend is set in stone. Johnny Depp's star is fading. Do you still consider him a movie star? What do you want to see him in? Do you want to see him totally distancing himself from the franchises that have made him a global sensation? Or do you want to see him taking on character actor roles? Weigh in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about Johnny Depp, and tell us if you think that we're way off base, because I think that his star is fading fast.